Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This year, as part of our coverage of ATX Television Festival Season 8, I was lucky enough to sit down and chat with John Conroy. He's the cinematographer on AMC's The Terror, Infamy, and we talk about the specific challenges of doing a period piece, the types of shots he enjoys, how he got into his career, and how it's changed for him. It's a great chat, and I hope you enjoy. So this is Les from the TV Dudes, and I'm sitting down with John Conroy, who is the cinematographer.
That's right.
For The Terror, Infamy.
That's right.
I love anthology shows. I'm a sucker for things that establish a tone and then tell me another story in it. For you as a cinematographer, not just doing a period piece, but also a horror story in it, were there additional concerns, or what were your concerns going in for how you wanted the kinds of shots, how you wanted to lens it?
Well, I suppose because it's an anthology, you've got a blank canvas in terms of you don't have to copy, the first series or anything like that. So we kind of went in with a sort of a fresh outlook on it, and of course the era it's in 50 or 60 years in the future. And of course it's in California, and then of course it travels around America, it goes over to the Pacific. But so it's kind of, like I say, a blank canvas really. You've kind of got to treat it as its own entity, and the horror was something that we always were aware of. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure the narrative wasn't sacrificed for the sake of just gratuitous horror. So I think the story is the most important thing, and once people believe in the story, then the horror will be a good addition to that. So that's how I kind of thought about it, really.
Were there, having a blank canvas, were there things that you got to particularly enjoy doing for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I love working with production design, costume, hair, makeup. Like for example, in a period production, you tend to desaturate the color a little bit, just to give it a period look. But very often you look at a lot of shows on television, they're just very boring visually, like certainly from a color palette point of view. And so we wanted to keep the color. So we amped up the colour a lot in the production design and the costume and the hair and makeup and lipstick even, to make sure that when we desaturated it, we didn't lose the colour.
Started from past the line.
Yes, and brought it back, because for skin tone and for the general ambience and the surroundings, the desaturation really worked. But we just didn't want it to become this grey mush, and sometimes that can happen. So I enjoyed doing that. We did a bit of testing with that. That was fun, and it was fun to shoot something about Japanese Americans that hasn't really been done before.
No, this wasn't even a story that I really knew growing. I grew up in Texas.
Yeah.
They didn't teach us about Crystal City.
Yeah.
The history books here. This wasn't a story I got until in college.
Yeah.
And so I was thrilled to see. It's timely right now as well, but I was thrilled to see a show take this period of time. I don't know how it's not been mined for stories.
Yeah, probably because it's not very glamorous, and I think it's 75 years for D-Day today. So it's actually current, very current. But I know that in Ireland we kind of are aware of a lot of struggles around the world. It's just part of our history and our nature. We are very aware of it. But I wasn't aware. I knew there were internment camps in America for Japanese citizens after Pearl Harbor, but I wasn't aware how much they lost. It wasn't just an internment and then they got out and they went back home. Most of the time the houses were gone. They were taken, razed to the ground, and they had nothing. So everything they had worked for, all their assets were stripped, and they had nothing. So they were basically itinerants,
And even when I was told that story finally, it was a college class, the professor still only referred to it as an internment camp. And I'm glad that the historical markers, I think, at Crystal City call it a concentration camp.
Yeah.
But even then they shied away from that language because we would never do anything like that.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing the sort of pictorial history of it all. Ansel Adams and stuff like that. Like we did a bit of research, obviously a lot of research on it, and they're kind of shocking. The sort of visual language of it all. The soldiers with bayonets on, just herding people down onto trains and things like that. It evokes, a completely different image, which most people don't think about. And so we wanted to capture that when we were shooting it, and it was very important to us that we kind of got all of the detail so that the Japanese American community will, they'll feel like they've been served a little bit, that their story's been told a little bit.
Being someone who loved film, I assume growing up, how did your career path end up with you in this particular? A
paddy shooting something for AMC in Vancouver.
Just being behind the camera.
No. Well, my dad is a DP. He shot my left foot, so I kind of have a history of it. And I was a clapper boy from the time I was 12. So I never went to film school, but I probably loaded and focused on nearly 100 films. So I did a lot of that sort of background. And then I started lighting about 10, 12 years ago. And you just, like how any DP gets anywhere, a lot of it is luck. And you meet the right people at the right time. And it just so happened that AMC or somebody liked my work, and as normally happens, they see something you've shot and they go, I like that, and you get a call and you do a Skype call, and then if your face fits and you don't say the wrong thing, you get on the job, and then that's it. Then you work together. It's amazing how out of nowhere you bring this team of people together, and then all of a sudden it's like within a week or so it was a really tight unit, and that's normal.
Was there a particularly satisfying moment or day of shooting or shot that you got?
Every day is satisfying. I mean, every single day. I treat every shot the same. So I mean, an insert for me, if it's really good, I'd be just as happy if it's a crane shot,
Any happy accidents?
Yeah, all the time. I believe in them. All the time. I normally operate, but over in North America and Canada, it's harder for me to do that. So I'm trying to get used to that. So I encourage my operators to go for the happy accidents. But happy accidents are always great. Sometimes you can't shoot you go with your compass and you say we have to be here at this time, but the schedule on an 8 or 9 day episode schedule, it's very hard to get that. And sometimes you arrive at completely the wrong time of day and you think there's going to be a disaster, but something happens and you go, well, actually it wasn't too bad.
Do you remember what your first professional job was where you thought, this is really what I'm doing?
As a DP?
Mm-hmm.
It was the Da Vinci Code. So I mean, all along, as I say, I started at 12 and I never wanted to be a DP. And I was doing the Da Vinci Code and just something clicked to my head and I just said, actually, do you know what, I could do this, I'd like to do this. And then a couple of years later, I think Sweeney Todd was my last film as a focus puller, and that was it. I went lighting, but was in the wilderness for about 3 years. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. And went through a lot of hard times, but eventually you come out of it, yeah.
That's great. And it's honestly, it's just great to hear anybody who enjoys their job. I mean, I feel like I run into that more in the entertainment industry, but not necessarily.
Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, I love it. I'm very lucky. It doesn't mean it's hard. It's not hard, or you don't have days of pressure and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm not working in a shop or I'm not digging a ditch, so I'm doing okay.
That's the right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and sometimes you shoot amazing stuff, and when you see an actor, perform an amazing piece of writing, and you go, God, I never read that on the page. That's the magic for me, actually, because sometimes you read scripts and you go, God, that's going to be okay, but I don't really. And then the actor says the lines, and you go, God, you know nothing about writing, really, because that sounds.
And then you realize that you've been part of delivering that to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then I'm surprised, and you kind of go, God, if I'm surprised, the audience will be surprised.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like you said, you've seen the script, you've seen the production notes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You're still surprised by the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, and sometimes you're. I remember a couple of years ago, I was doing a film called The Sea, and I was doing the shot with Kieran Hines and Sinead Cusack, and she was dying on the bed, and he was talking to her, and they were just talking. There was just one camera in the corner, and we did the take, and we looked up, and the whole room was crying. And you kind of go, okay, we don't need to do that again.
I think that's the one.
Yeah. But so it's cool, and like I'm trying to say, for me as an Irishman to be shooting this for AMC in Vancouver is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a wild.
It is, yeah. It's pretty special. The fact that someone will ask a fella from Kildare in Ireland to come over and shoot their show in North America, it's pretty special.
That's great.
Yeah.
Even growing up on set, are you still blown away sometimes?
Yeah, totally.
Where your career went?
Totally. I can't believe it. I used to, going back in the days when I was a clapper boy, used to bring the teas and coffees on a tray in cups and saucers. It's completely different now. You're still going up mountains, and in the rain, of course, in Ireland, it just rained the whole time.
Yeah, I think once a day it rained in Ireland.
Yeah.
A week or two I was there.
Yeah, so it's completely different. But I never take it for granted. I never take anything for granted. But I love it. I'm quite, having started so young and where I am now, though, I'm still quite definite in what I like and I don't like, though. So as much as I appreciate it, I'd never take it for granted. I don't think I would never want to shoot rubbish.
Yeah.
So, and I really, really fight against that.
As far as picking your projects?
Yeah, that's important to me.
Are there particular themes that you find you would like to do?
I suppose in the last couple of years I did Penny Dreadful, and I'm going to do the new series in LA actually in a month or so.
You're doing the spin-off.
I am. Yeah. So I start prep on the 1st of July.
That's great. I enjoyed Penny Dreadful and Luther.
Yeah, all Luther. Cool. I loved Luther. But the new Penny Dreadful will be in 1938, so it'll be
And in LA.
LA 30 years in the future. Yeah, it's amazing. Brilliant scripts, fantastic. But I picked that over other jobs because I love John Lovell's writing, and I think it'll be a great show. But and same with this. Just I'm very lucky to have a few choices,
Yeah.
But I always try and pick. I'm always conscious though as well that and I have been stung a few times, if you wait too long for a project, it can go away and you can be left with nothing. That happened to me a few times. But I always try and pick the best of more narratively that you can. But in the last while, there's been a bit of period. Luther, of course, kind of contemporary, kind of cool stuff. And then I did Rupert Everett's film about Oscar Wilde, and that was period as well. And then even Idris's film Yardi, period too. So I tend to be in a bit of a period writing, except I have something coming out for TNT in August called Tell Me Your Secrets.
Okay.
So that's contemporary down in the south. That'll be nice. We shot that in New Orleans.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I'm always conscious of what you're shooting. And as a DP, you don't get a lot of say in the story, but you can hopefully try and, with your shooting of it, steer it in the right way.
Well, I feel like you have an enormous say over the tone.
Yeah, we do have, yeah. Myself and Barry Dunleavy was my alternate DP on this, and so in the prep we'd always consult each other together. So it's not a solo run by any means, and and I think also with J.R. and Jonathan McKinstry, the production designer, without good production design, costume, hair, makeup, you just can't have good cinematography. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. So, without everybody, you're just wasting your time. Yeah, you're just wasting your time. So
Photo of someone else's family.
yeah, so it's up to all of us to work together, and we do.
Thank you so much for taking out.
No problem. Yeah,
Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great meeting
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Hope you liked it.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.